Spoken English as Smart Classes. You're watching ESSC podcast with our global educators and my shining stars. Learn English swiftly. And here we go with our today's my genius junior. She's going to present a song and then we'll start it. So here we go with Pruha. Pruha, you can start.
My name is Pruha.
Yeah, you may start the song.
I put my hammer on the shoe. I show you how strong. I put my hammer. Show you how strong.
I'm unstoppable. Start.
My poor show is nothing. I'm invincible. I will never sing. I'm powerful. I don't want to I'm so confident. I'm unstoppable. I'm strong today. I'm unstoppable today.
That's really melodious, Pruha. You did it wonderfully awesome. My shining star. See, everyone is clapping for you. Keep it up. So, here we go. Now it's time for the conversation part. But before that, let me introduce the tenses. And for introducing, let me call our global educator, my dear Honorable Rania ma'am. Over to you, respected ma'am. Rania ma'am, kindly unmute yourself. It's not audible.
Yes. Greetings
Yeah.
from Greece. Today we will focus on past tense. The past tense is a grammatical tense used to describe actions, events, or states that have already occurred or happened in the past. In English, the past tense is typically formed by adding the suffix ed to the base form of a regular verb, although there are irregular verbs that have different forms. Here are some examples of verbs in the past tense. I walked to the store yesterday. She went to the party last night. They danced all night at the wedding. He studied for the exam last week. The car stopped suddenly at the red light. We played soccer in the park yesterday. They had a great time at the party. These examples demonstrate how the past tense is formed for both regular and irregular verbs. However, it's important to note that some verbs have irregular past tense forms that do not follow a consistent pattern, so it's necessary to learn the past tense forms of individual verbs.
Perfectly said, ma'am. Absolutely awesome. I request Deepa, ma'am, and Paridi kindly on your video. Keep on owning your video. And as you're watching SCC podcast, so let us introduce one more time to everyone. Here I'm Dr. Madhi Bose, and one by one you can tell your name.
I'm Rania.
Yeah, ma'am, the name will be there. Yes.
I'm Deepa. Greetings to all.
I'm Rania.
Good evening, all of you.
And here, yes, ma'am, we have Paula ma'am with us. Paula Perez Lopez, ma'am, very first time. So, in today's program, absolutely, we'll be finding our simple past tense as we have already done with the simple present. So, as you're watching ESCC podcast, so it's time for the conversation. So, I'll invite my two shining stars, Deepa and we have Paridhi. They both are going to converse and let us know about simple past tense, how it works. So here we go.
Thank you, ma'am. Hey, did you watch the movie last night? Yeah, I watched it. It was really good. Oh, Which one did you see?
Oh, I saw the Avengers. It was an action movie, action packed and had a great special effects.
I feared it. It was amazing. Who was your favorite character?
Uh, Definitely Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. played the role perfectly.
I agree. He's such a charismatic actor. Do you go alone or with someone?
No, I went with a group of friends. We had a great time together.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of fun. I will have to watch it soon.
You should. I think you'll enjoy it. Let me know what you think when you see this movie.
Yeah, sure. I will definitely give you my thoughts. And thanks for recommendation, Deepa.
So, as you're watching SCC podcast, and it's time for the conclusion. As my both of the Shining Star did an amazing conversation, so let's conclude with our global educators, Paula ma'am. Respected ma'am, over to you.
Well, you know that past is in the past. So whenever you have to practice your English and your past tenses in English, you have to focus on what? On anecdotes, on experiences. So you focus in the past, no connection with the present, and always using these tenses in a communicative way. So the idea is that you can listen to music, to songs in English. You can identify different verbs, regular or irregular verbs, questions or negative sentences, and listen to songs and movies and series. So you can identify that and listen to that and use them in a meaningful way. So, in a conversation, telling about your last holidays, telling about stories or imaginary situations, happy moments with friends or family. So, using tenses in a meaningful way is going to make your learning tenses easier and funnier. So try to play, try to enjoy learning, and to identify the structures that you have learned.
Perfectly explained, my dear ma'am, and how creatively. I think it is completely understandable by us now. And as you're watching SCC podcast, so after the conclusion, we have let's recap the vocabulary from the program before it ends. So it's time for the recapping vocabulary, and this time my shining star Irisa is going to recap it. So over to you, my dear Irisa. Here we go.
Nuance, a subtle difference or distinction in meaning, expression, or sound. It refers to a slight variation or speed of meaning that may not be with duration. The length of time sometimes continuously lasts. It indicates the period or amount of time during which an action can complete. Convey, communicate or express something in a way that others can understand or comprehend. It involves transmitting or delivering a message or information effectively.
Yeah.
Precision, the quality of being accurate, exact, or precise. It refers to a level of correctness or specificity in conveying information or performing a task. Fundamental, serving as an essential or basic component and foundational. It describes something that is necessary, fundamental, or essential to a particular complex system or understanding.
And before the ending the program, we have many comments as usual. As you're watching SCC podcast, it's time for the comments. Thank you so much, Arisa. You did it amazingly. My part, cool. Now here we go with the comments. So we have a new firstly comment with a GSAM alum. I appreciate your hard work and dedication. Thanks a lot. Our Risa has also commented today. So I'm so proud to be the part of the podcast. Thank you, dear ma'am. You're most welcome, my dear. Arvina has commented, those podcasts are very useful for all of us. Thank you, ma'am, for doing wonderful programs like this. Thanks a lot. I will say a special thank you to our global educators. And then next is Swati ma'am writes, many thanks for doing wonderful programs like this, especially this podcast help us a lot of learn new words, vocabularies we are enjoying. And then Kashvi Sharma is writing, ma'am, we can learn many things from the podcast and the podcast such amazing. I'm dedicating all the podcasts to Rania ma'am and Paula ma'am today because they are the most important for me today. So Kajal Joria has written, many thanks, ma'am. I really need it. Garima writes, your positivity and optimisms are contagious, ma'am. Reenu is writing, it's a amazing podcast. It's helpful for us to us. After watching this podcast, we can deserve the best. Amazing. Jaswinder Kaur is writing, ma'am, your podcast is so fantastic. Your podcast so helpful for us. I can learn a lot from the podcast. That's so wonderful. Thank you so much. Ayush is writing, ma'am, we always learn something from your podcast. Kindly make it continue. It helps us. So absolutely will continue with many things. You just keep joining us. So sorry, bhai. Okay. What a name. Agalani with this one for such a great experience. We always get to know about something new. Thank you for much, ma'am, for your efforts. It's such a nice thing learning with you. Okay. You'll not be sorry anymore after this done. Tanisha is writing here, ma'am, I love this podcast that you make. They are very interesting and amazing, entertaining, and supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Here we have Anushka. Anushka is writing important to understand the different tenses while writing a sentence. You need to know when to use present tense, past tense, or future tense. Can't wait. It's going to be very exciting. Thanks a lot, my dear audience. You really made it wonderful and my shining stars. And special thanks to my global educators and my shining stars for joining us. And that's the end of our today's program. So don't forget to join for more useful vocabularies, sentences, phrases, and learning a lot from my global educators and my shining stars. Knowledge and idioms too. Learn English swiftly.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're most welcome.
For the last 10 years, TEDx speaker Dr. Madhvi Borsi Sinch Insa has been educating students. In the contemporary era, children used to entertain themselves with movie songs, but students under her are interested in learning, singing, and rapping educational songs. She has presented education in the best form, where anyone